It's unfortunate, because now it looks like you might have to pay. If lender A does the foreclosure, you have 580D, which is the trustee exercising his power of sale under the deed of trust. If lender A, if the trustee under the deed of trust for lender A exercises his power of sale, do you have 580D protection as to lender B and lender C? No. Why not? It wasn't there. It wasn't the trustee under these deeds of trust that exercises power of sale. It was the trustee under the deed of trust for lender A that exercises power of sale. Therefore, no 580D protection is to lender B and lender C. Then you're sitting there crossing your fingers saying, oh, come on, purchase money. I hope I have purchase money protection. But I refinanced. Remember, I started with Wells Fargo, but then I switched to B of A. Oh, that's unfortunate, because now it looks like you might have to pay lender B and lender C now that the property's gone. Does that make sense? So, here again, you have to look at each contract, because if you've got 3 lenders on a property, you've got 3 different contracts. You have 3 different deeds of trust, and there are 3 different trustees under those deeds of trust that you have to concern yourself with. Okay, next slide. How do you approach? Now we're getting close to looking at alternatives. But how do you approach this? The first step, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing that everybody should be doing if you're experiencing mortgage distress is this. What does that mean? Stop talking is what that means. Stop talking to the lender. Why? How many of you have actually picked up the phone and telephoned your lender? I know I've done it. I've done it 1,000,001 times. Probably all of you have done it. Do you hear a little voice recording when you call your lender up on the telephone? What's that voice recording say? It says 2 things. Well, for quality control purposes, this call may be monitored. Oh, okay, fine. Thank you very much. That doesn't mean anything to me. But what about the other disclosure that they make? We are considered a debt collector. Any information you provide us can and will be used for purposes of collecting a debt. Why do they say that? It's true. That's why they say that. They're required to make that disclosure under federal and state law, but notwithstanding that, it is every bit true. Okay, go ahead. Good, okay. Okay. Before you start talking to your lender, you've got to do a little homework first. You have to understand the strengths and weaknesses of your position. Before you enter into any type of negotiation, you have to understand where you stand. You have to understand at what point in time have you crossed the bridge where what the bank is offering you represents a worse alternative than your next best alternative. You have to know your walkaway position. And you never enter into a negotiation not knowing when you're better off going somewhere else or seeking a different alternative. That leads to bad decision making. Do your homework first, then talk to them. So how do you do your homework? Well, I like to approach it by having you identify the participants that help in the origination of your loan transaction. The real estate professionals, the loan professionals, the escrow, the lender, the loan servicers. Why? Well, invariably, you're probably missing information. You're probably missing information. And if you don't have your copy of your loan file, that's where these are resources that you can turn to get a copy of your loan file. If you want to look at your loan file. Next alternatives. Now, what I'm providing you up here right now is a list of alternatives. They're in no particular order of importance, but these are your alternatives to confront your mortgage distress. First one, you can negotiate with the lender. Loan modification. Now remember, loan modification, you're changing the deal. Does the bank have an obligation to change the deal? No. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy might be an alternative. Maybe, maybe not. Walk away from the property. What does that mean? Let the foreclosure happen. For some people, can you now see where that might be a viable alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah. New loan. Refinance the property. Well, that's not readily available unless there's equity in the property. But you know, from time to time, there are people with equity in their property. Short sale. You guys hear that term? What's a short sale? Anybody know? Short sale. Short sale. A short sale is a sale of the property. The reason they call it a short sale is because the bank is releasing their lien against the property without being paid in full. But ladies and gentlemen, by definition, that's all that's happening in a short sale. Do you still have to pay on the loan, or loans, plural, encumbering your property? Possibly. Possibly. And that's something you got to look at. In a short sale, who's selling the property? Who?
The owner.
The owner. That's right, the homeowner. The homeowner's selling the property. Is it the trustee under the deed of trust? No. No. Got to be careful there. What effect will that have on your obligation to pay the unpaid balance on the loan? You kind of want to ask that question. It's an important question. For a lot of people, that's the difference between walking down this path and not walking down that path. Deed in lieu of foreclosure. A deed in lieu of foreclosure is where you're basically, it's the equivalent in an auto loan of giving the keys to the car back to the bank. You're saving the bank the trouble of the repossession or the foreclosure. But here again, is there a sale taking place for deficiency liability? No. No. Continue making payments. Bring the loan current. Keep the loan current. That's your right of reinstatement. That's your right of reinstatement. I put sue down there. A lot of the times we have clients coming in and after they realize and they learn how all this works, they get angry. They get angry at the loan professional that got them in there. Ah, it's not what they told me. And they get mad and they want to sue somebody. Sometimes they got a case, sometimes they don't. So I put sue if applicable. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. Now, of these alternatives, only one of them guarantees that you get to keep your house. Which alternative is that? What's that?
Continue making payments.
Continue, well, not continue making payments. Bring the loan current and keep it current. Then you say, I hear clients all the time tell me, well, Mr. Enochs, that doesn't work for me. Well, that's unfortunate, because that's the only thing that guarantees you get to keep the house. Maybe in a bankruptcy, depending upon the circumstances. But outside of bankruptcy, that's the only thing that's going to guarantee that you get to keep the house. What about loan modification? Maybe. I like that answer the best. That is a big, solid maybe. Why is it a maybe? It depends. I like that one too. Those are all good answers. It's because it's discretionary with the lender as to whether or not they're going to work with you. Remember that word discretionary? Good word. good, solid word. Discretionary. It's discretionary with the lender. The lender can say no. If the lender says no to a loan modification, and you do not have the money to bring the loan current, and bankruptcy is not much of an alternative for you,